Hello, and we are back again at PIMFA's Women's Symposium. And today I'm joined by Tanya Tracey. Thank you for joining me. So before we get started with the full interview, Tanya, could you give us a bit of background into yourself and GAIN as well?
Yeah. So yes, my name is Tanya. I'm the CEO of GAIN, which stands for Girls Are Investors. And GAIN is a UK registered charity. We were set up 6 years ago, really to address not just the fact that there are not enough women in the industry, so there's gender diversity problem there, but more than that, there's not enough young women coming into the industry.
Right.
So as a charity, we're set up to go into schools and universities and really educate them about what the industry is and why it's a great opportunity for young women. And we have reached over 60,000 students since we started 6 years ago. We go into schools across England and Wales, and we're in over 50 universities across the UK, working directly with students. We provide programs, events, content, you name it, sort of everything. Obviously, everything is free to students. And the way that we're able to reach that many students is not via the GAIN team itself, it's actually via volunteers. So we have over 2,500 now volunteers registered with us. And they are women and men from the industry who go out and they deliver school talks, they mentor students through programs, they speak on our podcasts, they do all sorts of different things. And really, they are the way that we are able to connect the industry with the students and really enable students to understand that there is something different out there. And crucially, present those role models, having female role models in the industry as well is super important, because if you can't see her, you can't be her. So you need people to see people who look like you.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, you have a focus of getting women into investment roles, as you've said. But what would you say is one quick win a firm can use in order to kind of engage with female talent?
If it was a quick win, I think we all have done it right now, but I'm not sure there is a quick win. But I think there's things that firms can easily do. I think first thing is look at your job specs, because sometimes the language isn't very inclusive.
Yes.
And certainly when we speak to women, they are much more attracted to roles that have some sort of purpose or impact behind them. So if you can weave that into the reasoning behind the role as well, that really does help. Certainly when we speak to women about careers in the industry, women say to us, it's just about making rich people richer. I'm not really interested in that. When you start talking about the impact the industry has, the purpose that it serves, then light bulbs start going off, and then it becomes much more interesting to them. So if you have that sort of lens on it when you're thinking about your job spec, I think that really does help. Everything else is no silver bullet. There's no magic bullet here. So it is pretty long term, and that's why we start very early. We start age sort of 14, 15, and really educate them as they go along and train them and build those skills. That's what it's all about. And a lot of firms are really working with us to help over that long-term perspective. But it's not about just thinking, if you're looking at recruiting talent, it's not about just thinking about, okay, they're in their final year of university, now we'll start recruiting them. It's building those relationships much earlier as well. So the people that we've seen work with us really successfully is they've mentored on the Schools Investment Challenge, for example. They've built relationships up with those students. They've invited them back to come for insight events. They go then on to the Investment Insight Program, which is our first year program. They build the relationship further, and it's a much longer league time, but it builds that loyalty and it builds that connection with the firm and the industry more widely. And I think when it then comes to hiring, when you're looking for that really, really high talent that has got lots of multiple job offers, if you've built that connection early, that makes a massive difference. So no quick win, I'm afraid, but a win nevertheless.
I mean, I guess cultivation is probably the best thing. Long term for that loyalty, like you said. And why is it vital for long term health of the UK advice market that we diversify the faces managing and advising on wealth?
Well, I think there is this great wealth transfer, or whatever we're calling it. It's going to be happening over the next couple of decades. And that's disproportionately going to end up in the hands of women.
Yes.
So the client base will be very female dominated. And currently the way the industry is at the moment, I think it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 advisors are female. Unless the industry is representative of its client base, I think that's a massive risk for the industry. So the firms that are going to succeed are the ones that hire more women to represent the clients that they are serving. So it's not just a diversity issue, it's actually a growth issue, it's a future-proofing issue. So I think it should be top of mind for people when they're thinking about recruitment at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. And we also talk about getting women into the industry, but how do we make them stay? I know that we kind of off camera talked about this briefly and how that is quite a hardball question for you, but if you could, I don't know, have a crystal ball, look into the future, what is the best way to retain women?
It's hard because it's not the area we focus on. So, we are very focused on that early career pipeline. But I do realize that it is a massive issue. So I think there's two things. There's what we do at Gain. So we have a very big volunteer network, and that network has sort of grown as a sort of byproduct of what we do, really. And that's been very, very useful. It's one of the big female networks in the industry. So people who volunteer actively with us, connecting with other individuals at different firms, growing their networks, that's really important, that networking piece. But to be frank, we can only go so far with what we do at Gain. So we tend to work with the students, obviously, then our alumni coming through in that first few years of their career. And then what we're doing is signposting them off to other organizations. So, for example, it's not the Diversity Project anymore, it's Inclusion in Finance. They have a pathway program, which we sort of signpost people off to. So that there's that aspect as well. But you're right, when I speak to firms, they ask about this all the time. But really, it comes down to the individual firm, really, I feel, to tackle a lot of this. So some firms are really, really good at it, others less so. But, what I've seen working well are things like sponsorship and mentorship programs, supporting women and making sure they take those next steps in their career. Visible role models, having more senior women either mentoring or just being very visible to the younger women in the organization. And I think the key is flexibility. So flexible working, normalizing that for the whole workforce, actually, not just women. But it does disproportionately affect women, when it comes to those key life stages. But normalizing that instead of penalizing it, if you like. So making sure it's a normal thing to do, and that you're not being penalized to take flexible working. Yeah.
And finally, I wanted to ask you, spaces like this, the PIMFA's Women's Symposium, why are they so important, especially for women in the industry?
Yeah. I think there's only so much that individual firms can do. So having spaces like this where women can network together and sort of listen in to all these important sort of topics together and hear things that they may be grappling with themselves on a personal level, realize that it's something that is affecting everybody. I think this is absolutely key. It's a lot, the industry is doing a lot to sort of progress this further, but the more space there is for these types of conversations, I think is absolutely key for the progression of women in the industry.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to me today.
Thank you very much.